They say that not all heroes wear masks. Some wear long white coats. And that certainly is correct, as the true hero of the We Never Learn, Asumi, arrives in the next chapter. Or at the end of this chapter, if you want to be precise. All hail Asumi's father. Hello everyone and welcome to the Anime Zillia, and thank you for joining me as we talk about chapter 173 of the We Never Learn manga series. A truly fun and exciting chapter that reintroduces us to a familiar scene and one of my personal favourite characters from the We Never Learn series. But first off, this cover image. This cover image looks really steamy, and honestly, it kind of fits the theme of the chapter, not gonna lie. Asumi is in a hot spa, or bath, in the middle of nowhere. And there's bound to be steam in this area that Asumi is in this chapter. And this chapter is very, steamy with some of the things that happens. And Asumi is acting a bit cheeky with what she says to surprise, Eureka? Did I say her name? But with this face, I wonder what Asumi actually said to her to make her run off and react like she did. I mean, she was spouting X's and O's and saying, I'm a mature lady, you can talk to me on equal terms, sensei. And then obviously Asumi said something a little bit cheeky for her to go like that. Anyway, this chapter was a comedic chapter all around, but it's worth noting that throughout this comedy and this comedic chapter, where that was kind of at the forefront, there were some plot-moving developments hinted and spreaded throughout this chapter as well, which I thought was brilliant. So then, we go back to the ticket scene. We saw this in chapter 172, but they return to this in this chapter, and the reason as to why Asumi rejects sounds very logical. Her thinking is that she wants to focus on her future studies. She's looking to become a doctor, as we all know, so she needs a lot of preparation and a lot of kind of effort put into that. However, her expression on her face tells a different story. To me, this is a look that someone gives you when they want to do something, but they decide not to. So then what's holding Asumi back? Plus, that line about going with someone else clearly wasn't what Asumi truly wanted to say. We could just tell that all by looking at her expression and the body language and the way that she looks. So this obviously tells us that something more is, behind it all. So again, we're left wondering, why does she refuse him? We still don't actually know anything else or any new information as of having this flashback one more time. Could it have something to do with that name reveal at the end of the chapter? I wonder. Personally, I don't think so, but at the same time, you can't rule out that being a possibility unless Asumi found that information or that name after the events of Narayuki asking her out with those tickets. It's unclear as to when that kind of revelation and when she found out that name or that document with that name attached to it was. But I think it's safe to say that it is after. But then again, we can't rule that out. So that's why I'm putting it in a possibly category. And speaking of name revealed, it reads Teruaki Narayuki. Now, I've seen some people theorizing already about this name being linked with Narayuki's family, and of course being Narayuki's father, which sounds plausible, the names sound similar, and end in a similar way. Plus, we don't know the real name of Narayuki's father, which we've got a whole sort of series without knowing Narayuki's father's name, even though he's been shown to us time and time again. And it's quite a feat, but then again, it is shonen, and any shonen protagonist's father, and like any link to that, kind of doesn't exist in most series. So yeah, I mean, unless you're Food Wars, then your father gets like a big spotlight. But moving on, I always thought though that honestly, any and all information related to Narayuki's father would appear in the Kirisu route, because there's been shown that connection between Kirisu and Narayuki's father already. However, seeing that it's not the case and is actually in the Asumi route, I find really interesting. Because if we dive deeper into it and we speculate more, now bearing in mind this is all speculation, we have no concrete evidence as of yet, nothing has been revealed, but it opens the question as to what is that connection? Did Yuiga's father try to get treatment from the Koenami clinic before he passed away? If so, could Asumi, for whatever reason, feel guilty about her family's clinic failing to help Naruyuki's father / a patient? Now this could play in many different angles and many different ways. A part of me thinks that this would be a great idea, having Asumi's, father turn up and then giving us that perfect opportunity to have a discussion between himself and Naruyuki about the time and events surrounding Naruyuki's father in visiting the Koenami clinic and possibly not being able to help him. However, looking back at chapter 32, yep, that's right, I went all the way back to chapter 32, which is the first chapter in which Naruyuki and Asumi's father first meet. And looking at Asumi's father's expressions and details and words and dialogue, phrases, all sorts, he doesn't show any signs of guilt or sadness when meeting Naruyuki for the first time. Instead, he's just curious about Asumi's outfit, and he's curious about the relationship between himself against Asumi and Yuiga. So I think that was pretty cool, and we haven't seen any hints between her father showing any distress or guilt towards Naruyuki yet. So again, it leaves me wondering, is there actually a connection between the two? Another reason as to why I really like the idea of there being a connection between the Asumi clinic, or Koenami clinic, and Yuiga's father, is because it would give Asumi an extra reason for wanting to become a doctor. If what Takeru Yuiga had as an illness was really specific and special, like it needed proper treatment, or more studying, then this could have prompted a young Asumi to want to become a doctor and study in that respective kind of field, so that these events will never replay with a family clinic ever again. I know I kind of said that a little bit jumbly, but the way I'm basically expressing it, to put it in layman's terms, is that she saw an event happen before her, nobody could do anything about it, so she wanted to become someone that could do something about it for someone in the future, so that those events never happen again. I think that'd be really cool, and it'll add more layers onto Asumi's dream and desire of becoming a doctor. It would be almost not this would be a better reason than, say, Furuhashi becoming a geologist, not a geologist because that's stones, studying the stars because of a mother. Yes, it's nice and sweet, and that's great, that fits with Furuhashi's character, but with Asumi, if this was or something similar was the case, then this would just make it a much mature and a much more relatable kind of dream and desire and meaning. I think that'd be pretty cool. It's certainly something that I want to see explored more, and if you have any ideas or theories as to what that name could possibly mean, or what link it could have, then let me know down in the comment section below. You've always got creative ideas, let's hear them, let's see them. But back with this chapter, Naruyuki looks somewhat buff in that pool of hot water, and speaking of it, it's all lovely and relaxing when you're in hot water and you're having a nice soak, until someone you know turns up unexpectedly, and then more people arrive, making you having to hide under that water and getting pretty out of breath and pretty steamed up yourself. You get a little bit hot under the collar. And this whole segment really reminded me of that sauna incident with Naruyuki and Rizu, where Rizu forgot to hang up that cleaning sign, and then all the other female characters kind of came in and Naruyuki had to hide underneath the chairs. It just reminded me of that, and I really did appreciate that. I love it when I read a chapter and I just randomly get reminded of past events from the same series. Yes, you might think it's lazy writing and it's not creative, but I think it is creative, and it's really good writing as well, because it makes you go, hold on a minute, there was that really good scene, or that really cool scene, or they're similar. It makes your memory kind of click and go. I like it when a series does that. I love it when a series makes me think, and this, again, is another example of it doing so. And then that girl going on about X's and O's and all sorts was absolutely hilarious. Plus, I thought the art style was really well detailed and well presented in this part of the chapter. It just kind of makes me think, hold on a minute, they put extra attention to detail when they're not necessarily having a beach episode, but almost kind of, not in a lot. Strange. Anyway, great part of the chapter. We get a small amount of Naruyuki development as he ponders that kiss and when his feelings all began. And that rift that slowly formed, causing Asumi and Naruyuki to grow further apart. And this makes Naruyuki feel that much more kind of realistic when he's kind of looking back at his own feelings. Personally speaking, I really did like the fact that they added in that rift of them growing further apart. Because you often find that you're realizing how much something you care about actually makes you feel happy, or how much you actually cared about it when you realize that that thing is gone or it goes away. So it's that phrase, isn't it? You don't know what you've lost until you've lost it. And that applies to Naruyuki here when he's looking back at his feelings, because his feelings keep growing and growing and growing. And having all those feelings return stronger than ever, I'll add, when meeting again, or when he meets Asumi again, is a real world kind of situation, and it fits well in this current route. I think it's just great, and it's great sort of story writing, and I like that type of development from Naruyuki. This whole route at the moment feels a lot more natural when comparing it to the other routes that we've had so far. Some of the other routes feel like they've expanded on a few things and worked on a few things, and then just kind of, Yuiga suddenly got magical feelings for all these girls. This kind of makes it seem more realistic from Yuiga's point of view. I hope they go a bit more and keep up with that realisticness when they come to Asumi's kind of realization again later on in this arc. So, as I was recording this, or editing it I should say, I actually realised I didn't talk about what I think is going to happen now that Asumi's father is actually coming to the island. Now, if you remember, Asumi and Naruyuki broke off their fake relationship, or, as we know, but they never actually told her father, so he still thinks that they're dating. And, of course, couples can go, like, a few months, maybe a couple of years, without actually talking to each other and still be in a relationship, and still be quite strong. So I guess that's the logic her father's using, I suppose. Or maybe he doesn't know that they've been away for that long. I think it's going to be a very good revelation when they finally reveal to their that character that the relationship was actually a hoax to kind of allow him to let Asumi continue her dream of becoming a doctor. And we can see some interesting dynamics going on here, because we've got the shy girl that's talking about X's and O's in this chapter, Yukariha, I think that's her name. Basically, she likes Naruyuki. We know that from her dialogue in this chapter. And if she finds out that Asumi and Yuiga are in a relationship, thanks to the rumors and the words of Asumi's father spreading around the island, because remember, this island is very small. We got that young little kid who could come back and make a cameo saying, "What? You already going out for each other? Not cool, man. I liked you." Stuff like that. And we've obviously got Asumi's mother, who I think is on the island. Pretty sure she is. Obviously, she could play a role in that and kind of build up that rumor and that kind of speculation. We know how she likes to kind of tease and joke along as well. Asumi obviously gets her cheeky personality from her mother. And I think it could be rather cool, especially when you see how characters can bond and interact with each other once information from Asumi's father gets spreaded around and gets gifted to other characters. Plus, we can see a nice touching moment between Naruyuki and Asumi's father. I think that's got to happen. As well as the fact is, I think that by the end of the series, or by the end of this route even, Asumi's father has to know that they were kind of faking a relationship. But at the same time, he seems like a really smart character, so I think deep down he actually does believe that they actually are. He just doesn't want to admit it. Or he just doesn't want them to kind of ruin out on his fun. And honestly, I think this again could tie into that name that we see in this end of this chapter, because it is a really wild theory or goose chase or thought idea. Maybe that guy is Naruyuki's father, that name at the end. But maybe he was friends with Asumi's father. And maybe as well that there's a whole kind of connection about an illness with those two characters. And while Naruyuki's father was passing or like slowly dying, maybe he said to Mr. Koinami, "Look, if you ever do meet my son, can you please make sure he stays on the right path and he enjoys life? Don't let him and don't tell him about my past or my illness." I think if they go that route, that could work some amazing magic that helps elevate this route to being the best out of all of the routes that we have so far. Personally speaking, I still just think from a story emotional standpoint, Furuhashi's slightly is in the lead, but at the same time, I love Asumi. I love Asumi's father, so with the next few chapters, they could really blow it out of the water, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So, back to normal video. Not too long now, promise. Overall, I really like this chapter. It's a shame that I have to bring my review of chapter 174 a bit later than this coming Friday, being the 18th. As I'm away from home when the new chapter releases, which is really annoying. But I really can't wait to find out more. I was already invested in this route to begin with. Like, I was already having a good time and enjoying myself. But now, I'm begging for more chapters. I want to find out more, I want more information, and I'll bring you the chapter as soon as I get back from where it is that I'm going. Next Sunday though, I will be giving you my thoughts on how a movie could work if they went the movie route when delivering us in anime format these alternative routes as a plotline. I'll be looking at different effects and different segments or events that happen within these routes that we know so far. As of recording this video, I've recorded that video last night, so before this chapter hits, so anything in this chapter I will not be covering, unfortunately. But I still think it's an interesting topic to think about, one that we can both get creative, so I hope you'll join me for that one next week. Other than that though, let me know your thoughts on this chapter in the comment section below. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike if you dislike, but let me know why so I can improve these videos moving forward. Subscribe if you're new so you never miss a video from me for more anime and manga content. But with that out of the way, I just hope you have an amazing day, and I'll catch you next time. Alligator, matane, goodbye.